Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and to the third of my top 10 toys list, and this time we will be covering everything that doesn't fall under Transformers or Jurassic World dinosaurs, so this is for everything else. So before I start, if you haven't watched either of those two videos, I'd like to wish you all a happy new year and I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. Right, so let's kick this off. So for my first figure, and these aren't in any particular order by the way, these are just as I'm taking them out of the box I have down by my side. First figure is this amazing MotU figure that my mum got me for Samhain, it's Halloween. Yes, every year I tell her, no, you don't get presents for Samhain, and every year she gets me something. And yeah, this year I bought some stuff from Star Action Figures and she wanted to give me this. So yeah, I'm well pleased. I love this figure. I did a review of it a few weeks back. It's just amazing. I don't really know that much about MotU. I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I'm more into DC. But Marvel have been just smashing it with these figures and everything going on with the MCU. And I watched the cartoon with Patton Oswalt in it and I thought it was hilarious. I'm not massively into the style that they did, like a sort of a puppetry stop motion thing. It's like a robot chicken type thing if you've not watched it. I'm not big into that, but I did think it was quite funny, and I think Patton Oswalt did a really good job of voicing MotU. And after seeing that I thought, you know what, that's a character I can get behind, and yeah, so I got this and I think it's just great fun. It's got loads of articulation despite the fact that he's just a big head sitting in a chair. And I love the clear plastic going on at the bottom as well. It's just really cool, and it's just, you know, you can move the little joystick here that he's in. He's got an extra face that I haven't put on, that's upstairs. It's just a really nice figure. It's one of those figures that you could put on your shelf, and if you have some friends coming by and they're not like in the know, I mean even less in the know than me, let's face it on this one, and they say, oh, who's that guy, and go, oh, that's MotU, and you know, it's a conversation starter, I think, and it's just really nicely done. This gold plastic is gorgeous, but GPS, kind of worried about that. You know, it's a Hasbro product after all, so I'm hoping it doesn't crumble after a few years, but yeah, you never know. This is one reason why I'm not a mint in box collector, because plastic degradation happens, so yeah, that's why I take everything out of the box. But yeah, so that's my first one. Really love this guy, so let's move on to the next one. Next up is this stonkingly good figure from Masters of the Universe Revelation, and this is of course the Skelly God figure. I don't know how these came out in America, but for some reason this one came out before the regular Skeletor over here in the UK. So I got this one first, and then the regular Skeletor I got a few weeks back. But I absolutely love this figure. I think this is really cool. I do kind of like the way it harkens back to Skeletor from the movie back in, was it 88 or 89, I forget now. The one with Dolph Lundgren in. So it just kind of reminded me a bit of that. And actually when I was doing the review for it, I kept referring to it as Skeletor. I couldn't help it, just kept forgetting. But yeah, I think it's a really awesome figure. Now, I did pay full price for this, and I was a little bit gutted that a few weeks later it sort of went to practically half price. So yeah, that was a bit annoying, but I'd still think it was worth the money, honestly, because it's such a good figure. There's a couple of paint apps that are a bit sloppy. There's a bit going on here. But overall, the presence that this thing has on a shelf is just amazing. It looks so good. You know, even if you didn't want this as a Skeletor figure, you could easily have this on your shelf and you know, just make up a character for it. You know, it doesn't have to be Skeletor if you don't want it to be, but it's just amazing. It just looks so good. All the paint on it is, well, like I say, there's a couple of sloppy bits, but for the most part it's really good. The gorgeous bit of clear green plastic around its neck, where, you know, like it's supposed to be that like an eldritch fire kind of thing going on there. Just looks great. The whole thing looks great. And the cape, I love the cape. It's so nice and velvety, and it's weighted down as well with these bits, so it sits really nicely on the figure. I've just really enjoyed the Revelation line of figures. I think they've been brilliant. So right, I think I've gushed about this one for too long now, so let's move on to the next one. Alright, so the next one, I wasn't sure whether or not if I should put this in with my Transformers, or if I should leave it as, you know, this sort of everything else, and I decided to leave it as everything else, because it's not a Transformer, it is a Robo Machine or GoBot, whichever you prefer, and this is, of course, Buggy Robo, or as I know him, Buggy Man, from, oh, who makes this? Oh, I forgot who makes it. Darn it. I shall, if I remember to, I'll put a thing at the bottom, say who made it. It's in my head, but it won't come out. Yeah, this is a great figure. It's gorgeous, and I've just realised I didn't have that chest pressed back in. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. Everything about it is fantastic, and the nostalgia this thing gives me is... Yeah, I still have, actually, my original Buggy Man. It's one of the things I didn't get rid of, and I'm so glad I didn't. That thing used to go with me everywhere. That and Loco, they used to go with me everywhere when I was a kid. They're really scuffed up. The original Buggy Man has lost his lights. He's broken, but because he used to be in my pocket all the time. So this thing, nostalgia-wise, is just sensational, and it's such a great update of the original character. He looks so good. The articulation in him is outstanding. He does have some die-cast in him, and that's nice. It's just a great figure. I love it so much. I have recorded a review for this, but I haven't put it up yet. I will get round to doing it at some point. But yeah, I love this guy, so definitely one of my top 10. Amazing figure. Moving on. Right, so next up we have another Revelation figure, and this is, of course, Evil Lynn. And this is a female figure that has really blown me away this year. Usually female figures come out and they're a bit sort of meh, they're alright, but yeah, Mattel has really done this one proud, I think. She looks like the character model in the cartoon, and she's got a real sort of presence where quite a lot of female figures don't have that. You know, they kind of look like they should be placed at the back of your collection or your display space. Not with this Evil Lynn. She is going to take front and centre on anyone's display, I think, right next to Skeletor. So yeah, I love this girl. I think she looks fantastic. I couldn't find fault with this figure when I reviewed it earlier this year. It's just amazing. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And at least Mattel did give us a double elbow joint on this figure, which is something that hasn't happened on some of the other female figures I've bought this year. But yeah, this one, I mean, it's fantastic. The paint is top notch. I mean, there's a few bits here and there, but you know, it's a mass-produced figure. This is what happens. Excuse me. It's what happens these days. So yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. And I love that jewel in her staff as well. That's really nice looking. Nice lump of clear purple plastic. Very good, very good. Yeah, she looks great. So she had to be in this list for sure. So what's up next then? Let's find out. Well, it wouldn't be a top 10 ex-Inferis list if it didn't have a Godzilla on it, would it? Of course. I had quite a few to choose from this year. Godzilla stuff's been pretty decent. I've bought a load of those Playmates figures, but they're not quite top 10 material. So that had me down to either this figure or the legendary figure. Sadly, both of them are repaints of previous figures, but on balance, this 2001 Godzilla, or Gojira as I prefer, had to take it. It's one of my favourite versions of Gojira, and it's awesome. It's not new, it's not exciting. I already have this mould, but it's Atomic Breath version, so you get all this beautifully painted spines down the back, and he's got some blue in his mouth also. Yeah, like I say, it's not new, it's the same sculpt, it's the exact same figure with a different paint job. But Millennium Godzilla, 2001 Godzilla, these are my favourite designs, so yeah, I had to put this on the list. I had to buy it again, really. I don't need it, but it was relatively cheap as well. I got it from a place in Spain, and it was dirt cheap there. Not cheaper than over here, anyway. So yeah, he's a really cool figure. I do really love him. I just haven't got room for him on display. I might have to swap out the other one. The only disappointing thing about this one I found was that he doesn't actually come with an atomic blast effect part, which is a real shame, because I think if you're making an atomic blast Gojira figure, you need to include the blast effect as well. Otherwise, what's the point? It's a shame. Oh, I've just popped his arm off. No, get back on there. It's a shame, but it's not the end of the world. And like I said, he was relatively cheap. But yeah, he had to be on the list because I absolutely love him. Right, moving on. Yeah, so I think pretty much most of you knew that this guy was coming. This is one of the standout figures of 2021, for sure. It's just amazing. Again, the Revelation line has been just that. It's been a revelation. The figures have been outstanding, almost universally. I will say that He-Man is not on this list, and it's not because he isn't a good figure. It's just that he's not quite good enough for the list. His face sculpt is okay, but yeah, there's other stuff on this list that I like better. And honestly, this Battle Cat, at this point, is the definitive Battle Cat. I mean, if you take his helmet off, that is just a big cringer. It's just spot on. And the articulation in the figure is, I mean, I have the classics one. This is so much more articulated even than the classics one. It's just gorgeous. It's an amazing figure. I was lucky in that I had a voucher from Amazon, so I got it a little bit cheaper, because it was a very expensive figure to start out with. But yeah, I'm so glad. I would have paid the full price, honestly, if I'd not had the voucher, because it's just such a good figure. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. The only issue I had with mine is there's some weird painting going on the saddle. That's pretty much the only issue I had with mine. The figure itself is bang on, there's nothing wrong with it at all. And again, the likeness to the cartoon is almost perfect. So yeah, this guy, if you don't have this figure already and you're thinking of buying a Revelation figure, I can highly recommend this to you. If you don't want one of the human characters, if you want to get, you know, like something different, this is a fantastic figure to have on your shelf. And he is massive, absolutely massive. So yeah, absolutely 100% recommended figure. So let's see what else we have. So this next figure, while not being an official Masters of the Universe product, is kind of. This is, I'm not going to try and roll the R's, this is Purpler from Mythic Legions by the Four Horsemen Studios. For those who don't know, the Four Horsemen were the group of people who sculpted all of the Masters of the Universe Classics line, and then when that came to an end, they decided to go out on their own and do their own creations. So this figure is broadly based on Skeletor's cat Panther, who originally was just a remold of Battle Cat in purple flocking, and this guy looks outstanding. They also did a Battle Cat version of this, and again, looks amazing. If you want to see that and a review of this, I will link it down below. This is another one of those figures that I reviewed for Fingers on Plastic, so you will have to pop over to their site to have a look. But yeah, it's a great figure. It's just quality. The whole thing is quality. Now, I will say, I paid a lot of money for this. It's the most expensive action figure I bought this year. Well, the most expensive 6-inch scale action figure I bought this year. But it was absolutely worth every single penny. It's outstanding. The whole thing is, it's outstanding. The quality alone in this figure is top notch. The Four Horsemen have always made sure that their figures, the ones that they have produced themselves, have been the best possible quality. That's not stopped. I backed their Ravens campaign some years back on Kickstarter, and that's where this trend of doing their own figures started. They were quality as well. The only reason I haven't backed them for more projects, is that they do a lot of things like orcs and elves, and I'm not really into all those sorts of things. But if I can buy these individual figures like this, I'm happy as Larry. This is a fantastic figure. If you don't have any of the Mythic Legions figures and you are interested, then do pop over to the Four Horsemen's website. Have a look, see if they have any campaigns running. As of this video, I don't know if they do. I don't really keep up with it much these days, to be honest. Like I say, it's all orcs and goblins and whatnot now. But if you're into that, then they're definitely worth a look, because, as you can see, quality figure. Every penny spent, well worth it. So, right, what else have I got left in the box? Let's have a look. Yeah, you all knew this was coming, didn't you? Go on, admit it, I know. Yeah, this is obviously the Family That Busts Together set, and yes, I'm not doing a cheaty twofer on this one. It did come as a set, so it counts as one, really. In, you know, for the purposes of this top 10 list. Yeah, this was a bit of a surprise. We knew that Phoebe would be coming in some shape or form at some point, but I don't think anybody had any idea that we were going to get this Ghost Egon figure. Pardon me. When it was announced very suddenly, and it was like, you know, be here at 6 PM, we're putting this up on the website. I didn't go to Pulse. I was going to go to Pulse for this, but I actually ended up going to Star Action Figures for it. And I think it sold out within an hour of being up. Everywhere. Not just Star Action Figures. Everywhere. Because every Ghostbusters fan wanted one of these. And I am so glad that I didn't miss out, because this is quite emotional for me, because I loved Harold Ramis. Egon, actually, when I was a kid, Ray was my favourite, but as I got older, I appreciated Egon more, and then he eventually became my favourite of the 4 original Ghostbusters. So when he passed away, and he passed away quickly, suddenly, it was a real blow. And seeing what they did with him in Ghostbusters Afterlife, it was beautiful. It truly was beautiful. If you haven't seen the film yet, highly recommend you see it. So when this action figure was announced, I jumped all over it. I'll be honest, I like Phoebe, but I bought it for Egon. And I think that's the thing with most collectors. We bought it for Egon. I have reviewed this set. Please do go watch that. I'll put a link down in the description below. The set is a lovely set. It really is. They've done Harold Ramis proud with this figure. The sculpt work is gorgeous. It looks how he was in his later years, at least the last time I saw him anyway. And Phoebe is a great addition. You know, we can't have the other three young Ghostbusters without having Phoebe. She was the linchpin of the whole movie. So yeah, this is absolutely one of my favourite sets of the year, and I would have put it higher on the list. Like I said, the list is not in any kind of order, but I would have put it nearer the end, but for the fact that I wanted to leave a couple of surprises for the end for you guys, because we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, this set, absolutely fantastic, highly recommended. Alright, so this is my cheeky twofer, and it's Battle Armor He-Man and Skeletor. I didn't have these figures as a kid. I had the regular He-Man, and I think I had Skeletor, but I honestly can't remember. But I never had the Battle Armor ones. And when they came out in Classics, I was really disappointed that they didn't have the original action feature from the toys back in the 80s. So when I saw these guys come out, I was like, I'm going to have them. And yeah, they have the original feature in them, which is awesome because I love it. I love it. It's a brilliant feature. They also had the same feature on Hot Wheels cars at the time, and I was really little, and it was like magic. I had no idea how it was done on those Hot Wheels cars. Obviously now I know, but back in the day I was like, how has that happened? Yeah, it's like crash them into a wall, damaged and then not damaged anymore. Amazing. Yeah, these are the things that kept us entertained as kids in the 80s, guys. Kids these days wouldn't bat an eyelid at that, would they? But anyway, yeah, so this basically represents the Origins line from 2021. I bought a few figures, but I haven't bought too many because I have all the classics and I have quite a few of the Club Grayskull figures also, and I just didn't have the room for a whole new line of Masters of the Universe figures. But like I said, I had to have these guys because of this. So yeah, that's my cheeky twofer for this video. So, got a couple more things to go, let's have a look. Alright, so here's the first surprise figure, and yeah, it was a surprise to me as well. Most of you will probably know this figure as the Blue Ranger from Power Rangers SPD, but I know him as Deca Blue from Tokusou Sentai Deca Ranger, and that is why I got this figure. I have been getting very heavily into Super Sentai of late. I've been a Tokusatsu fan for quite a few years, but I've only just managed to get round to the Super Sentai series. And I bought a couple of these figures thinking, they'd be pretty cool as stand-ins, you know, for a while. And then I got this Deca Blue figure. This is the first of the figures that I bought, and I have bought a ton since I got this one. But this was the first of the human figures that I bought, and I have been really surprised by these figures. The quality is outstanding, the articulation is amazing, and yeah, if I ignore the American actors' heads, which I do, these figures are perfect Super Sentai figures. They really are. They're amazing. They come with a bunch of stuff, loads of different hands, weapons, whatnot. And yeah, I'm really surprised that I like these as much as I do. I mean, check it out. I've been getting these really cheap as well, I have to say. I haven't paid more than 18 quid for one of these. And in fact, this came in a 2-pack, and I didn't want the other figure, so yeah, if anybody wants that, what's it called? A Squad? Yeah, just hit me up, because yeah, you can have it for a decent price. But yeah, like I say, I only want the Super Sentai figures. I don't want any of the Power Rangers extras. But they're just really good figures. They're really good. They're really well made. And no loose joints. I mean, it wobbles a bit because of the ab crunch, but Hasbro, how is it that you can make these so good, but some of your Transformers so bad? I mean, some of the Transformers I bought this year can't even stand, for crying out loud. I mean, look at the pose I got this guy in. No problem holding that pose until I knock him over. But yeah, so you will be seeing a whole bunch of reviews of these guys, and I know it's like, these have been out for ages, so it's not new, so feel free to skip over them if you want to, but yeah, I just thought I'd review them all from a Super Sentai perspective rather than a Power Rangers perspective. But yeah, I love these guys, amazing figures, and I'm so shocked that I like them as much as I do. Right, so let's see what the other surprise figure is, shall we? Go on then. Yeah, so this is the other surprise figure, and this is Day Sphinx from Zyuranger, or you may know him as King Sphinx from the first Power Rangers series. This is kind of the figure that got me into getting the rest of the figures. I have had the HAF Go Rangers on pre-order for months. This is the 4th month as of January 2022 that they've been pushed back. But I was looking for something to go up against them because, as far as I'm aware, HAF have not done any villain figures as yet. And I thought, well, this kind of looks like it would fill that gap and have something for those Go Ranger figures to go up against. So yeah, I bought this, and I bought Pumpkin Rapper and one of the Tenga Warriors just to see what they look like. But as I say, those Go Ranger figures have been pushed back another month, so I still don't know. But yeah, it was buying this figure that made me realise that the Hasbro figures would work as just Super Sentai figures. So yeah, I've got a lot to thank this guy for. I've got a lot of money to thank this guy for. He himself was dirt cheap, and so were the other two that I bought. But since buying him and the other two, I've invested quite a lot in picking up the other figures that have been released, and I am really loving them. And this figure is absolutely gorgeous. Now, I know when he first came out, he was like 35 quid or something like that. I got him for 14, and if you ask me, that's a bargain because he's amazing. His sculpt work is gorgeous. The paint is superbly applied. And I have seen the Super 7 Ultimates version of this, and it looks puffy. It doesn't look bulky and dangerous. It looks puffy. It looks like, I tell you what it looks like, you know when you go to the beach and there's one of those arcade machines there and you have that claw thing? It looks like something you'd win in that. And it's like 55 quid. It's like, yeah, Super 7 doing what Super 7 do and just gouging people again. But yeah, I think this is a much better looking figure. I have a caveat with this figure though. I can't get his wings to stay on. They keep dropping off. He's only standing there like this now because I have him with one of those clear rubber bands holding them wings in place. That doesn't stop the figure from being amazing though, and I am going to contact Hasbro, see if there's something I can do about that. If not, then I guess I'll have to super glue them in place. I'd rather not. I'd rather get them fixed, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But yeah, it's an amazing figure. It looks outstanding, and I'm really glad I dipped my toe in this water because, as I said, as a Super Sentai fan, I've been looking for something, you know, but the HAF figures aside, because they're horrendously expensive, I've been looking for something to represent my joy of those series, and these Hasbro figures doing it. They really are doing it. I'm really happy with them. So yeah, I think this video has dragged on quite a while now, so I'm going to leave it here. I know this is technically 11 figures. I wasn't originally going to put the He-Man and Skeletor Origins figures on the list, but they're too cool. I really like them, so I had to put them on. So yeah, this is technically 11. Well, it's technically 13 or 14, isn't it, really, when you look at it? But shh, don't tell anyone. Nobody knows. So yeah, that's it. I have got 2 more videos coming up for this sort of end of year thing. I've got the worst figure, and I've got the overall best figure I bought in 2021, so keep an eye out for those 2 videos. They will be coming up shortly. But until then, as always, thank you for watching. Have a great 2022, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.